Welcome to Investor Web, your go-to channel for insights into personal growth, health, and financial success. Here, we aim to provide you with practical, actionable advice that you can use to transform your life. We believe that health and wellness are the bedrocks of a prosperous life, and our channel is dedicated to helping you achieve just that. On Investor Web, we delve deep into topics that impact your daily life, from mental health to physical well-being, and from financial literacy to personal growth. We understand that knowledge is power, and we are here to arm you with the information you need to make informed decisions about your life. Our mission is to create a community of informed individuals who are empowered to take control of their lives. We want to help you unlock your potential and live your best life. In today's video, we will be discussing a topic that affects us all: dopamine addiction. So what exactly is dopamine addiction? Let's dive right in to unravel this complex yet intriguing concept. Dopamine is a type of neurotransmitter that our body produces. It's often dubbed as the feel-good hormone because it's responsible for that little rush of satisfaction you feel when you've accomplished something. Be it finishing a task, winning a game, or even indulging in your favorite ice cream, dopamine makes these experiences enjoyable. So you may wonder, how can something that makes us feel good lead to addiction? Well, here's the catch. Dopamine addiction doesn't really refer to an addiction to the neurotransmitter itself, but rather, it's an addiction to the activities that cause our brains to release dopamine. Now, we all engage in high dopamine activities like scrolling through social media, playing video games, or enjoying junk food from time to time. These activities are stimulating and give us a quick burst of pleasure. However, the problem arises when these activities become habitual and start to overstimulate our brains. This overstimulation can create an imbalance where our brains start to crave these high dopamine activities more and more, leading to what we call dopamine addiction. This addiction can diminish our ability to find pleasure in lower dopamine activities. For instance, reading a book or going for a walk might not seem as appealing if our brains are used to the intense dopamine rush from playing a video game. It's like having a taste for spicy food. Once you get used to that high level of spice, anything less might seem bland. Similarly, when our brains get accustomed to high dopamine activities, the lower dopamine ones might seem less satisfying. However, it's important to remember, dopamine itself isn't bad. In fact, it's crucial for our survival, motivation, and pleasure. It's the imbalance that can cause issues. So, the goal isn't to eliminate dopamine from our lives, but rather to balance our dopamine levels and regain the ability to enjoy both high and low dopamine activities. Remember, the key to a healthy life lies in balance, and when it comes to dopamine, it's no different. You might be asking yourself, why is dopamine addiction a problem? Well, let's delve into that. Dopamine addiction can lead to an array of negative effects that can severely impact your quality of life. One such effect is decreased motivation. When you're constantly seeking out dopamine hits, you may find that you're less motivated to engage in activities that don't provide this immediate reward. In addition, dopamine addiction can also make it difficult for you to feel pleasure. This is because, over time, your brain adapts and starts requiring more dopamine to feel the same level of pleasure. This can lead to a vicious cycle where you're constantly chasing more intense dopamine hits. Impaired focus is another consequence of dopamine addiction. It can make it challenging to concentrate on tasks that aren't immediately gratifying. This can impact your productivity and overall well-being. So why should we care about dopamine addiction? Because living a balanced life means balancing our dopamine levels too. Now that we understand dopamine addiction, let's dive into the steps to overcome it. The first step towards overcoming dopamine addiction is identifying high dopamine activities. These are the activities that give us a quick rush, a jolt of pleasure, but often leave us craving more. For some, it might be endlessly scrolling through social media. For others, it could be binge-watching television shows, overeating, or even substance abuse. The key is to be honest with yourself. Recognize and acknowledge these activities without judgment. Next, we need to understand the triggers that push us towards these high dopamine activities. Triggers can be anything from stress and boredom to loneliness or even certain times of the day. By identifying these triggers, we can begin to understand the root cause of our dopamine addiction and start to break the cycle. Once we've identified our high dopamine activities and triggers, we can start to gradually reduce our exposure to them. This isn't about going cold turkey. Instead, it's about setting achievable goals and taking small steps. If you're spending 5 hours a day on social media, try reducing it to 4. If you're binge-watching 3 episodes of a show each night, try cutting it down to 2. The aim is to slowly decrease your reliance on these high dopamine activities, to allow your brain to adjust and reset its dopamine levels. The 4th step is finding healthy alternatives. This isn't about replacing one addiction with another, but about finding activities that provide a steady and sustainable source of pleasure. This could be anything from reading a book to going for a walk, practicing yoga, or even learning a new skill. The idea is to engage in activities that are fulfilling and enriching, rather than those that provide a quick dopamine hit. Finally, it's important to maintain a balanced lifestyle. This includes getting regular exercise, eating a healthy diet, ensuring you get enough sleep, and taking time out for relaxation and mindfulness. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your overall well-being, rather than one that is solely focused on chasing the next dopamine hit. Overcoming dopamine addiction isn't a quick fix. It's a journey, and like any journey, there will be ups and downs. There might be times when you slip back into old habits, but that's okay. What's important is that you recognize it and get back on track. Remember, this isn't about perfection, but progress, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. Overcoming dopamine addiction isn't about punishing yourself, but about making positive changes to improve your life. It's about finding pleasure in the simple things and learning to enjoy life without the constant need for a dopamine hit. It's also important to remember that you're not alone. There are many people who understand what you're going through, and there's a wealth of resources available to help you on your journey. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Remember, overcoming dopamine addiction isn't about eliminating pleasure from your life, but about finding balance. Let's revisit the key points we've discussed today. In the past 10 minutes, we've taken a deep dive into the world of dopamine addiction, understanding its intricacies and exploring the ways to overcome it. We started our journey by defining dopamine addiction, a condition where our brain becomes reliant on the dopamine rush provided by certain activities like excessive use of social media, gambling, or even indulging in unhealthy food patterns. We then delved into the negative effects of dopamine addiction. It's a stealthy adversary, quietly reshaping our brain's reward system, leading to a decrease in productivity, a lack of motivation, and a feeling of constant dissatisfaction. It's a serious issue that can significantly impact our overall well-being and quality of life, but it's not all doom and gloom. We also discussed practical, step-by-step methods to overcome dopamine addiction. We learned that the first step is always awareness and acceptance, acknowledging that there's a problem to be solved. Following that, we learned about dopamine detox, a process that involves consciously avoiding activities that lead to excessive dopamine release. We talked about replacing these activities with healthier alternatives that provide a balanced dopamine release, such as reading, exercising, or spending time in nature. We also emphasized the importance of establishing a routine and sticking to it. Consistency is key in overcoming dopamine addiction. It's a journey that might be challenging initially, but remember, every step you take is a step closer to regaining control over your life. And finally, we discussed the role of professional help. If the addiction is severe, never hesitate to seek assistance from a professional. They can provide you with the right tools and strategies to combat dopamine addiction effectively. This wraps up our discussion on dopamine addiction. It's a complex issue, but with awareness, determination, and the right strategies, it's a battle that can be won. Thank you for joining us today on Investor Web. Please subscribe for more insights into personal growth, health, and financial success.